Squatters take over a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home just before the property owner was about to sell the home. And this is happening in Maryland. Well, this happened in Maryland, but it's happening a lot in Maryland. It seems it takes up to 2 years for a squatter to go through the process of being legally removed, which is prompting a lot of people to start shacking up in these vacant properties. Now, they're not shacking up in those abandoned, rundown properties in cities like, say, Baltimore, getting in there and fixing them up and squatting in there. Maybe making arrangements from the city to buy those vacant, abandoned homes. No, they like the nice, renovated, fixed-up homes that are on the market for sale. So this article, Maryland home sale halted as alleged squatters unload moving truck and demand cash for keys. Well. Supposedly, an online social media account allegedly linking squatters to homes they do not have the authority to occupy are central to a dispute between a Baltimore County property owner who is under contract to sell his house and a family of 4 that abruptly pulled up a U-Haul and began living in the home without permission. Mike Haskell, the owner of the house in Windsor Mill, Maryland, spoke to Spotlight on Maryland on Friday outside of the property he alleged was occupied by an unauthorized family he referred to as squatters. He said that he spent tens of thousands renovating the home for sale. The homeowner described receiving a call the night before he was scheduled to finalize the property's sale with its new owner.
The Spotlight on Maryland learned about a flurry of alleged squatting fueled by social media users that has expanded to Baltimore County.
Gary Collins tracked down both a property owner and the occupants in the county.
A relentless investigation into social media users profiting from placing unauthorized occupants into last resort or squatter homes took a turn on Friday, this time to suburban Baltimore County.
This is a property we've owned for about 4 months. We did a complete renovation on it and had it on the market, have a buyer. The buyer went through the month process to purchase.
Property owner Mike Haskell, who asked us not to show his face, says he spent tens of thousands of dollars to bring his Windsor Mill home to market. His excitement to sell the home turned to dread on Thursday night.
The buyer last night drove by and saw a moving truck in the driveway, and they thought maybe it was being unstaged for advertising, and I said no, that was done way earlier. There should be nobody there. So we immediately called the police.
What was your first reaction when you heard that your home was taken over by squatters?
It's just, this is the county. You wouldn't expect something to be happening here like this, and it's really kind of gets you a little freaked out because I don't care where you live in the state of Maryland, you're subject to this happening.
Later that morning,
hey, I'm Gary Collins with Fox 45 News.
We followed the occupant's U-Haul parked in Haskell's driveway to where the property owner was trying to relocate the family of 4. This was Haskell's attempt to prevent the home sale with the contracted buyers from falling through.
I got you.
Several minutes later, the occupants agreed to talk to us if we did not show their faces. We asked when they expected to leave the property they had disputed authority to occupy.
That man is not going to back out from getting that out. You don't got to worry about that from me and my family. That man is going to get that. He's going to buy the house.
So
next Friday, like you said. But
Why would someone want to take on the headache of dealing with squatters? Nobody is going to purchase a house that they expect to occupy if there are squatters there.
Where do we lie?
I mean, at this point, are you turning over this property?
What else do I have to do? Because what I'm going to go stand in front of the court and like, yes.
So is that a yes?
No, they never said so. Yes, I really did lost my mind. But what I'm saying is, and he even tried to help me with this house. I'm not there with all these two. I can't move my family to the house. But where do we get compensated at? You know what I mean? Like,
after rejecting Haskell's relocation attempt, we followed the occupants back to the occupied home.
I know for sure I ain't going to jail. I know
between a social media user who allegedly leased a home to his occupants for $7,500. Since the document was shown to police, Haskell has few options other than pleading with the occupants for the return of his home.
I gotta get compensated. No, because I'm trying to tell you all. It would be nice if I could get compensated something, like a hotel, something, money. It's like I really don't say it. No, I'm not lying.
You'll be out of here by Wednesday. What can I throw you, guy? We call that cash for cheese.
Could we call you a little later?
Call me later.
Please, I'm gonna shoot you a text first. Please. You know, like, this is the first meal I had since yesterday, and it's Burger King. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, we're on the same team. Can we please come?
Absolutely.
And it won't be like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, call me anytime.
You know what I mean?
So here's our time to stay. And you say later, it's fine.
No, later today. Later on.
No, listen. What I'm saying is I'm going to tell Muhammad, the buyer, that we're talking about what you can be out.
Yeah.
And I'll tell him that our plan is by Wednesday, so he can do his walkthrough.
Yeah, in the house will be clean.
And then he can move forward with the settlement.
Okay.
And tell me what you think I can do to help.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, we asked the occupants if the social media user identified matched the person that signed their lease.
Is this her?
And then I wake up.
And real quick, is this her?
Yes.
Okay.
The identified social media account user posted on an account promoting squatter or last resort homes reels of her spending a weekend laser tagging, go-karting, and attending parties. According to the Baltimore County Police report that we obtained, officers dispositioned the burglary call as a civil offense, meaning that officers took no action. Haskell told us today that he paid the family $3,000 to move from his property, which they agreed and handed over the keys. We're going to continue to follow this matter.
That's a damn shame. First of all, I feel sorry for the property owner. I feel sorry for this couple if they have children. They must be going through some sort of hard time, or they're just freeloaders and irresponsible. I do not believe that they gave the person that rented them this property, allegedly. I do not believe that they gave them $7,500 in cash. I think that this is an extortion, and some criminal charges definitely need to be filed. It's not right. It really isn't right. Why isn't he demanding some sort of compensation from the person who took his money and put him in the house? He knew that he was moving into a property that he did not have a right to move into. He knew that he was going in there to squat. So I don't believe that he gave the person that turned him onto the property $7,500. He may have gave her a couple of dollars to give him the information of houses that they could squat in, but I don't believe it was $7,500, and he knows that lease is fake. Here's some of the comments from the Fox 45 News page. One person said, I went through this with my daughter's new home purchased 2 years ago. We did a walkthrough the evening before. She signed papers, got to the closing office the next morning, signed everything, and took us and a couple of friends over after lunch, and someone had moved in. Long story short, my daughter refused to pay the first and second payment to the bank because it took 2 months to evict them, and they trashed the home upon leaving. It cost my daughter $46,000 in damages and recover, plus the ongoing fight to this day with M&T Bank. Maryland was no help at all. Well, Maryland had recently passed, liberals, of course, passed some sort of bill recently in Maryland. It could take up to 2 years to get these people out now. So instead of the liberals of Maryland passing some sort of bill to open up those abandoned homes, like, for example, in Baltimore, to get people into those homes, get the tax revenue coming in from those homes, dollar homes, something. There are different cities who have dollar homes. Detroit, they have a land bank that does these things where they could get people into homes. It's going to take work. They're going to have to fix it up. But at least they will own the place. They'd rather just make a law where you can squat in somebody's home, just illegally take over someone's home, and have to make the homeowner go through a whole process to get you out. And it could take up to 2 years. And people who are about to sell their homes, they're caught between a rock and a hard place because they don't want to spend 2 years trying to get you out when they have a ready, willing, and able buyer that's about to purchase the property. So they're going to do what this guy did, pay you a couple of dollars to get you out of the house. Because look at what they stand to lose if the deal falls through. Or you have a person, what if this buyer didn't happen to go past the house the night before and went on to close? What if they're buyers from out of town? They didn't do a walkthrough before the closing and they closed on a property that they're going to end up spending 2 years fighting to get someone out of. Another comment, the occupant should be charged with extortion. I would agree with that. I really do. The fact that they were swindled by entering into the lease does not give them the right to extort the rightful owner. Well, I don't believe that they really entered into a lease. You can't enter into a lease with a person that doesn't own the property. And they're not asking the person that they supposedly gave $7,500 in cash to. They are asking the rightful owner to pony up some money. So another person said, agreed, 100% pure evil. How is it that I can move into someone's home when they're on vacation and it's legal? If I break into a home and no one is there, it's burglary or illegal entering of a home. Oh, what an evil world. Yeah, that is true. So if I go to work and I come home and someone's in my home, they would be charged. But if they produce a lease to the cops and say that, they shouldn't allow this type of stuff. They should not allow this type of stuff at all. It's extortion and it's wrong. No civilized society should be operating like this. But, Maryland is liberal city. Maryland is a liberal state. The person who was in the house said they had been there for about a week. They said they had a lease, and the officer basically walked away. Did the police do any investigation at all and see the lease? Well, even if the officer saw the lease, that would only bolster it even more for the officer to say it's a civil. The officer can't say that it's fake. The officer can't say it's fraud. The officer can't determine that, Another person says, typical for this state, anyone who is a criminal has the upper hand and control. Karma is coming for them. It's really getting bad out here. A lot of people are struggling. They don't know which way is up. They don't know where they're going to get their next penny from. The homelessness is going through the roof in a lot of cities. You have a lot of people with jobs that are sleeping in their cars. I get it. I understand. I get it. I know it's tough out here. But we've got to find a more civilized way to approach the affordable housing issues here in this country. And hopefully some of all this fraud, waste, and abuse that was discovered can lead to something that's going to help these people that are in positions of authority and power to come up with a way that we're going to make housing more affordable for the average working class person, because otherwise things are going to get a lot worse. Crime is going to get a lot worse. It just makes me also go to the flip side of what could happen when a landlord is trying to get a tenant out. This happened in Las Vegas, Nevada, okay? A landlord was allegedly shot and killed by his tenant after trying to evict him. He didn't deserve to die like this, they said, okay? No one does. If you can't afford to pay, and if you're going to ride it out where the landlord has to go through the process of evicting you, when it's time to leave, just leave. Just leave. I've known people to totally dissect and completely tear up properties, which I think should be criminal for you to run through a property and totally vandalize it just because the landlord wants you to move out. If you can't afford to stay there, then leave. I mean, if you need to have some extra time to get yourself together, get your money together to move, do that. But you can't be angry that the landlord wants you to pay rent or the landlord wants you to move. I mean, it is what it is. It's life. It's life. I've known investors that they don't play that when it comes to their properties. You might think it's wrong, but I've known some investors, they got their hot boys, they got their pit bulls and rots, and if you don't get out of their property, they're not doing it the long way. They're going to do it the short way. You're going to get out of their property. You don't pay, you don't stay. That's just as simple as that. So I'm not condoning any violence or anything like that, but everybody don't play that when it comes to their properties. Now, in this story that I'm about to share, the tenant allegedly got angry that the landlord was evicting him and decided to shoot and kill the landlord. So, the suspect, Christopher Rainey, 36, was booked on charges of assault and murder with a deadly weapon. Wow. A Las Vegas man has been arrested and charged after he allegedly shot and killed his landlord, who was also reportedly his roommate. So that's another thing. A lot of people are starting to rent out their rooms in their apartments or houses. And if you get somebody in there who's not going to pay, you have to go through the process of getting them out. And when you are occupying the property yourself and you're just trying to rent out rooms for some extra money, it could be pretty, the tension could be pretty thick when you got someone walking around in your home, not giving you a dime, and they're refusing to leave, and the situation has become hostile. So Christopher allegedly shot the victim in their shared home Thursday, May 29th, after being served an eviction notice. According to the police, a third roommate in the household described Rainey as a creepy, sneaky son of a bee. A Las Vegas man has been charged after he allegedly shot and killed his landlord. Officers responded to reports of a shooting on May 29th per press release issued by the Las Vegas Metro PD. Police say they entered the residence and discovered a man suffering from an apparent gunshot wounds. On the floor, medics were called and the man was pronounced dead at the scene. Wow. That's tough. Police said that one of the members of the household, who was later identified as Christopher Rainey, 36, was armed and taken into custody. They added that per their investigation, the victim was Rainey's landlord and roommate, and he had served Rainey an eviction notice shortly before the fatal shooting occurred. Just leave. I mean, just leave. And if you want to make the landlord go through the process of kicking you out, they have to legally go through a process of kicking you out, fine. But, you know, I guess he was looking for a free place to stay. Now he's going to get a free place to stay. Behind bars. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below if you're so motivated to do so. This is Wonders of a Black Woman. Peace.